If you're only getting sales on one listing in your shop, what should you do? Does anyone in our program fail? And should you be doing free shipping or not? In today's video, I'm going to cover all of these questions and way more. If you're new here, my name is Dylan Jarvis. I'm an Etsy seller of 8 years. I've made over $1 million on the platform. I also sell on Amazon and Shopify. And now I have a company of about 31 people, and we are helping Etsy sellers scale their businesses. Let's get into your questions. You've submitted these on Instagram, and I'm gonna go through one by one. What is the lowest cost category to sell in on Etsy? So something that takes, I would say, low upfront cost, digital and print on demand, or selling something that you already have on hand. Maybe this would be your craft supplies. Maybe it would be creating gift boxes of things that you already have. Now, new things, of course. You're generating cash flow of what's already on hand. Those are a couple of the lowest cost ways to make money. My question though is, how much are you trying to make and how quickly do you need to make money? Because the lowest cost category to sell in, you could argue that's digital, but you could also argue that that could be the most saturated and some of the lowest price points, which means highest competition, lowest return for your time. I highly recommend looking at cost as two things. Number one is, of course, the cost of, the software or the products that you're actually selling. And then two is the opportunity cost of not doing a different category. I do tend to recommend physical products if you're looking to make the most money in the fastest time period. If you just don't want to spend a lot of money up front and you don't care if it takes you a little bit longer to make a profit or to get to that $10,000 profit mark, then digital or print on demand. Sure, it's low upfront cost today, but the opportunity cost, that's still a factor you need to consider. Shopify seems better without fees. Why don't you just start there? My big question is, how much money do you have to spend on ads? When you start on Shopify, you have no traffic. People make these amazing, beautiful, super fancy looking Shopify sites, and then they have no customers. People forget about that. There's still a cost to Shopify. And then the transaction fees, you still have that 3%. So it's not that there's no fees on Shopify. There is a higher monthly fixed fee, and then there is a lower fee on the transaction. But to offset that, you have no customers, so you're going to be paying something in ads. And that's typically going to be a lot more than the fees that you would ever pay Etsy. So what we do, we focused on building Etsy up. It's the fastest place to build a brand because of the customers that are already there. We build Etsy up to be at least 80 to 100,000 in revenue. And then we look at Shopify next, and we show you how to bring customers over from Etsy to Shopify. Unless you have, 10 G's in your bank account ready to spend that on ads, I do not recommend starting on Shopify first. If you're only getting sales on one listing, what should you do? I would look at who are the best customers for that one listing. Look at their profiles. What else are they favoriting? What else are they coming to Etsy for? How can you serve that customer for 4 to 7 years? Now, if you're only getting sales on one listing, don't feel like you are married to that customer or to that product. A year from now, that one listing, it very well might not even be in your shop anymore. Don't get so hung up on that. Look at the customer buying it. Evaluate, is this a customer I want to serve? Will this customer pay my bills? Is this the right type of customer who will give me consistent income? And then look at all the different ways you could serve them. Okay, and luckily Etsy gives you that visibility on the back end to what they're favoriting. What is the difference between your course and YouTube videos? YouTube videos are very much skimming the surface. So we spend a lot of money on YouTube every month. We're not making a lot of money from YouTube, but YouTube is how we find our students. On YouTube, we show that everything we teach is rooted in corporate e-commerce principles. These are not tips or hacks or things we tried on Etsy once. These are business principles. And that is my goal with YouTube. It's actually very little that's on YouTube. For example, our 7 types of products framework, we cover one of those 7 on YouTube. The other 6, they're not on YouTube. Our SEO strategies, right? We cover titles on YouTube. That's about 10% of your SEO. The rest of it, not covered on YouTube. So those are just a couple of examples. Email marketing, tutorials for print on demand, how to do planning and forecasting, how to look at your stats and know exactly what to change, how to analyze your stats. But we do share enough on YouTube to make a difference in your business and to show you that these strategies work. I had someone who, she came to me, it was about a year ago, and she really wanted to do the course, but with all the obligations in her life, she was worried she didn't have the time to focus on Etsy because we do recommend at least an hour a day. She watched the YouTube videos for a year. She got her shop up to just $8,000 a month just with YouTube. And then she realized, wow, if I got $8,000 a month from the 10% of her knowledge, what more does she know? That happens all the time. YouTube has a ton of free value, but it's not the connected strategies where it's like step 1, 2, 3, and then nothing's about your specific shop or listings. So that's where people want that one-on-one guidance where I'm going like into your shop. My team and I will actually show you specifically what to fix and what additional products you could put in your shop. We're giving you those ideas all the time. Is your coaching actually one-to-one? I heard it was group coaching. Our coaching, it's a combination of one-on-one and then group. So the coaching calls, those are 4 times a week with other people on the call. Now, a lot of people listen in. That's okay too. And you could submit your questions. You don't have to be present on the call to get your questions answered. These are calls where your questions are answered though. We go through every question on the list and it's about your specific shop.
I have an aggressive pricing strategy because I'm not really concerned about profit margin short term. So any additional suggestions for accelerating my exposure? Like, should I even consider low-level ads?
What I would do is definitely Pinterest and Facebook. Definitely get more of the drinkware going. Some of the things like this almost looks like on the photo here, it looks like, oh, there's like a weird shadow or the lighting is off. So I might like swap in this as the main listing photo. You have good mock-up options. Sometimes it's about just like swapping that out. Then I would go hard at Girl Scout leaders. Maybe not the same style or same design, change up the font, change up the product it's on.
Because that's the thing. I definitely can make higher quality designs. It just takes more time.
So you could do like Girl Scout, I'm just looking. It's like selling to teams, to be honest. It's great because one buys it and then they're like, where did you get that? Putting the troop number on something. And then you could literally put this in. That's why I love like cheer and dance teams. You get like 20 to 50 orders from one group.
Yeah, I'm already learning with my daughter's activities that they're high expense.
Yeah, so I would double down on that. There's specific coaching from us to you directly. There's just other people who can hear the coaching. Now, the one-on-one part, which I think is everyone's favorite, this is where you have 24/7 unlimited one-on-one private coaching, direct access to me and the coaching team. So this is all private, one-on-one, unlimited. You can ask 500 questions a day if you wanted to, and it's all private. And this is every single day for a full year. So yes, it is actually one-on-one and it is direct access. All it requires is that you use it. Okay. That's the big thing. It just requires that you use it. Does anyone in your program fail? All right. This is really interesting. So I don't know if people realize this, but we can see on the back end the percent of engagement that a student has. So I can see when you last logged in, how much time you spent on the platform, where you navigated, and I can see what questions you're asking. You will get out of it what you put in. I will say that every single time. And in our announcements every month, people share their results. Oftentimes they'll say how long they've been in the program. And when we look through the people, we look then at their activity level and how engaged they are and how much they are using the tools that we've given them. If someone puts in 10%, they will get 10% of the results. If someone logs in once a month and then maybe they take 2 months off, they're not going to be seeing results. If you're using your coaching once a month, it's going to be a completely different result than someone who uses their coaching every day. It's like going to the gym, right? If you go to the gym once a month versus the person who goes once a day or twice a day, completely different outcome. That's why we have our screening calls, because we want to make sure you are someone who wants to take action, that you are ready to take action, to put the time in, that you want to stay committed to your business, that you're not someone who starts and stops and starts and stops a new venture every other week. I can critique the same listing every single day for you. If you never take the action and implement what I recommended, you will not see any change. That's my TED Talk there. How much money did it cost you to start your Etsy shop? Nothing, because I used what was already in my house, and then it was an initial investment of about $150 in that first month on replenishment inventory. So I was basically bootstrapping the whole thing. The profit of the business was sustaining it. I never really had to take from my own money to pay for anything in terms of the shop. And then lastly, what does a day look like for you? So I am basically a 6 a.m. to an 11 p.m. kind of girl. And I know that sounds crazy. 17-hour days. Yes, that is 17 hours in a day. First thing I do when I wake up is I check Slack on my phone and I look at any fires or any questions because I do have people on the East Coast. When it's 6 a.m. my time, it's 9 a.m. their time. They've already been working for about an hour at least. I check Slack, any fires, I put them out while I'm still in bed. And then I shower. And while I'm showering, I'm thinking about any of those fires I just saw and what actions we can take to fix those. And then I will start getting ready while I'm doing my makeup and my hair. I am sending voice messages in Slack. I'll be checking in with our COO, saying what's your plan for the day, checking in with our director of customer success, usually with voice messages, checking in with our content manager if anything is on fire with content, getting the kids up into school. There's like 1 hour in the morning where my team knows it's like very difficult to get a hold of me for that hour, and then drop the kids off. My first meeting starts at 8. I'm usually like pulling into the driveway at 7:59, racing up the stairs, connecting my Zoom, starting my first meetings. Mondays, it's meetings with our COO about our game plan, podcast interviews right at 8, whether I'm interviewing or someone else is interviewing me. Meetings all morning, typically catching up on email, usually like twice a day, 2 big catch-ups on email. And then we go into meetings with our account management team. We're reviewing calls, reviewing coaching. I'm reviewing written coaching, video coaching. I'm setting up my coaching calls. Sometimes once a week, I'm on a coaching call, meeting with other people in the industry, networking, collaborating, working on sponsorships, planning out our upcoming events, working on the software. And I'm also just digging for problems. That's my day. And then basically meetings right up until 5 o'clock. I do have an hour and a half, usually where we're like eating dinner, playing with the kids. I help with bath time, bedtime, story time. When my kids are asleep, then I hit coaching and catch up, work until about 11 o'clock. And then right before I go to bed, I post testimonials on Instagram and YouTube, testimonials of our students and just sharing their results with you guys. So that's what I do right before I close my eyes. And it's just a nice way to end the day too, because it just reminds me of like all the hard work in the day, right? There's good that's coming out of it. All right. Hopefully this was an interesting Q&A. If you do have any other Etsy questions, leave them in the comments and we'd be happy to jump in. Make sure to subscribe if you like the video, if you want to see more of our corporate e-commerce principles applied to Etsy, and I will see you all in the next one.
I've gone from about $1,500 to $2,000 in revenue a month to currently, before the month's finished, $4,200 in revenue. I only joined multi-six-figure Etsy Blueprint about 4 weeks ago now,